Recent lab tests for Alzheimer's only look at memory loss, not plaques in the brain. A blood test can be ordered by doctors who have a suspicion of Alzheimer's disease to determine whether a patient's brain contains the disease's characteristic sticky amyloid plaques. However, doctor says that the results of that test won't tell the whole story. Neurology professor Randall Bateman of Washington University in St. Louis. According to Bateman, and quote, people can have a head full of amyloid without dementia or memory loss, and quote, as a result, he and a group of researchers have created a new blood test that can determine whether or not an individual with Alzheimer's disease has already begun to experience memory and thinking problems. It joins another new spinal fluid test that can predict whether Alzheimer's-related brain changes will likely affect cognitive function. According to Stanford University neurology professor Tony Wiss-Corey, and quote, it's a strong indicator of memory impairment, and quote, the results of both tests, which were published in Nature Medicine, may help doctors determine which patients would benefit from medications that can remove amyloid plaques from the brain. The National Institutes of Health provided funding for the development of both a look beyond the amyloid, a search for better Alzheimer's biomarkers, which are substances that can be measured in the body and indicate the presence of a disease, led to the development of the blood test. Bateman and his team were looking into tau tangles, which are abnormal protein clumps that form in Alzheimer's patients' neurons, together with amyloid plaques. These tangles are regarded as the disease's defining features. The team discovered that memory loss and neuronal damage appear to be linked to a specific region of the tau protein. Additionally, they discovered MTBR tau 243, a biomarker for this region. According to Bateman, MTBR tau 243 and quote, was much more related to memory loss, symptom onset, dementia stage, and all the things that patients care about and quote, when compared to biomarkers of amyloid plaques. To start, the team had to measure the levels of the new biomarker with confidence using spinal fluid. However, they eventually created a test that could utilize blood samples. According to Bateman, the amount of abnormal tau in a patient's brain is determined by the blood test, and quote, and it only goes up when people are symptomatic, and quote. According to Bateman, doctors will be able to quickly and easily determine if the amyloid plaques in a patient's brain are actually affecting their memory and thinking when the test becomes commercially available. He claims that it will also reveal whether Alzheimer's disease has progressed to the point where medication is likely to be of assistance. And quote, we are now able to make a much better decision about how much benefit are you likely to get if you undergo treatment to remove the amyloid plaques, and quote, Bateman asserts. A metric for synapses, a team led by Wiss-Corey of Stanford has developed yet another brand new test, this one involving spinal fluid. According to him, their goal was to respond to a straightforward age-related inquiry, and quote, can we find proteins that change if a person's memory is not working well, and quote, more than 7,000 proteins found in the spinal fluid of more than 3,000 people were examined by the team. As potential biomarkers, 2 proteins emerged. People with memory issues had significantly higher levels of one protein, while the levels of the other protein were significantly lower. According to Wiss-Corey, and quote, so we made a ratio between the two, and that ratio turns out to be a very good indicator of whether a person's memory is okay or not, and quote, people who have a genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's disease may also be able to use the ratio to anticipate memory loss. According to Corey and Quat, the ratio and Quat in these individuals and Quat goes up 10 to 20 years before they get the actual disease diagnosis. And Quat, this is due to the fact that this is the time when the first subtle signs of cognitive impairment begin to appear. According to Dr. the function of the tests 2 proteins is to regulate synapses, or the connections between neurons. Johns Hopkins University neuroscience professor Paul Worley. When Alzheimer's disease first starts to affect how the brain works, it makes sense that these proteins levels change. According to Worley and Quat, the exciting thing here is that this is a process that appears to anticipate the development of cognitive decline 10, 20, 30 years later, and Quat, according to him, this indicates that treatment could begin long before Alzheimer's symptoms appear. Worley was a member of a group that demonstrated how Alzheimer's disease memory loss occurs when one of the 2 proteins used in the test is missing. His team also discovered that normal levels of this protein in the brain allowed people with amyloid plaques to maintain normal cognitive function. According to Worley, considering the significance of synapses in Alzheimer's, one strategy for treating or preventing the disease might be to preserve their function, possibly by increasing levels of this protein. He asserts, and Quat, that is supported by the fundamental biology, and Quat,